What is good, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back. It is time for a brand new video. This is the Danny Farke presser reaction ahead of our big game against West Ham on Friday. Huge game. But before I get into it, please like the video. It helps out the channel immensely. And listen, the preview will be live tomorrow. I will be going live for that. So, just keep it locked to the channel. And that's where we go through the team predictions and score predictions as well. So join me for that. But before we get into that, let's talk about what he said today, because there is big pressure on this game. I think Danny Farke knows that. I mean, he was very chilled, as he always is. His mannerisms is usually always chilled no matter what. But I think he knows that this is a big game. But he was talking about our form up till now. And, here's the summary of some of his comments. I'm pleased with how dominant we are. Even in the losses, Arsenal aside, we're in all the stats the better side, but not the more effective side. Hard work brings us into better positions and be more clinical. Never underestimate one situation. He continues. Burnley had one chance in each half, but created goals. In these periods, you do not complain about fate. If reducing them to one chance is not enough, then we reduce them to no chances. And we know that's what this team is on. It's based on strong defense, being resolute, being tough to break down. But as we've seen in the last few games, that has also started to slip. And, he's talking about being clinical in the final third. He did go on to say they've been working hard on that in training to convert the big chances. They need to be effective in both boxes, which is true, because we're not really allowing a lot of chances, but they're starting to go in. And I was really surprised in his press conference today that they kind of skirted around it, the journalists, but they didn't outright ask, is Perry coming back in for this game? And I don't know why that question wasn't asked. There was a few questions that just didn't need to be asked today, but that is one what I would have liked an answer on. If he was willing to give one, I would have liked the question to have been posed, but it wasn't posed today. He was talking about availability of some of the players. Okafor and Nanto are making progress, but not able to complete team training this week, so I wouldn't expect them. More realistic for Noah to be involved. Some illnesses mean Ampadu and Struijk missed team training. Gray back in training. And listen, Noah being involved is one thing, but with Noah, we know how injury prone he is. If he is not ready to come back, especially with it being his groin, just keep him out. I know that's not what I don't want to see. That he's literally one guy who could probably give us something out of nothing. But what's the point in re-injuring him even more when he's been struggling since he got here, people. He's literally been struggling for fitness since he's been here. He's having to work really hard to stay fit. He's not able to complete a 90 minutes yet without looking gassed. So if he has got any resemblance of an injury, keep him out. Keep him out of the game, in my opinion. But Danny Farke did say, he reiterated his rule that if you're not involved in the final training session, then you don't play. He won't risk playing 4 or 5 players who are not fully fit, but maybe 1 or 2. So, with that as well, we're talking about some changes that we want to see being made. And listen, this goes on to the whole thing about being adaptable. And this goes to the video yesterday. And listen, shout out to everyone that, participated in that video in terms of giving names that you think the 49ers would go for. But I think it was more names that you guys would go for, because some of the names were so unrealistic, but I had a fun reading them anyway. But listen, salute to everyone that participated in that video. But this is where I go now. He didn't make the changes necessary for Burnley. Will he do it now for West Ham? Now, he may be forced in terms of illness. I hope it doesn't come to the fact that Struijk is out ill, the reason why Biol comes in. I would have loved it more if it would just happen by him doing it. We've seen it before in the past where players have gone out injured, then it means other players get opportunities, and then they seize those opportunities and sometimes keep their places. I would have loved it more if Struijk was fully fit and he just brought in Biol, straight swap. Not even talking about, other positions there. Just that simple one for me, just to show that he's not wedded and so loyal to certain players that it's harming the team's chances overall. But we'll see what happens with this one. They've got another training session, and we'll see what the team looks like on Friday. But I do think there will be a couple of changes. Now, we can guess the team and say, it's going to be this. I will hope that there is going to be a couple of changes. And listen, there was a few callbacks today. Let me just get this one here. In terms of the game, he was talking about no added pressure. Every game has pressure. We are focused and relaxed and looking forward to it. We've worked our socks off for 24 months for nights like this. It's why we play this game. We want to reward ourselves with points, but we respect the opponent. what I would say in terms of that, he was talking about every game being a big game. Every time they speak to him, oh, Burnley was a big game, Wolves is a big game. The reason why all these games are big games because we're not winning enough games. So if let's just say we had kept the lead against Bournemouth and come out with a win, and let's say we got the win at Burnley, no one would be saying that this game against West Ham is a big game. This is a game where you'd probably looking at the game and saying, "Oh, we could win this one," but you would already have the points cushion from before, where you don't have to look at it and go, "No, we've got to win this one to keep West Ham down there and boost us up the table." So there is a bit of context when people are saying everything is a big game because it all depends on your point situation and obviously looking at fixtures ahead. If you're a long-term planner as well, you'll see that the fixtures aren't looking good in a bit. So, and even that Forest fixture now with Sean Dyche is looking a bit dicey, isn't it? So we have to start picking up wins eventually. And, I know that he kept on talking about form is good. The form isn't good. The form is 1 win in 5, at least that. So we need to get wins on the board. That alleviates all the pressure of him and the football club as well. He mentioned a couple of times in this transfer in this presser as well, by the way, about the need of a couple more attackers. And I've often said that, and even I can't help it myself, that I can't help talk about the transfer window when it gets brought up. Usually I'm just like, we can't do nothing about it. But even Danny Farke said today twice, with Willie out, with Noah in doubt, Dan James not fully fit. He was there in case of emergency. That's why I would have liked 2 more attackers. Harrison and Brendan, they're not fully fit. They're not, his first choices out there. Not saying that they're not his first choices, but he'd prefer to have some more out and out attackers that could possibly be a bit more clinical in those areas. And it just shows you that he's still, even though he said after the window shut that there's nothing else you can do about it now, and there isn't anything you can do. But even he's still feeling it that he could have done with a couple more bodies. Now, are those couple of bodies of quality? What we were linked with says no to me. But if he felt that they could have been more helpful in the scenario that we're in, then I do feel for him in that way. But I've always said, though, if you're just going to bring in a couple of bodies that aren't of added quality, then they're just another couple of bodies, aren't they? But you can see we're a little stretched right now, and especially with injuries, it could be tough. Now, somebody who is back in team training is our new contract signee, Harry Gray, who's put pen to paper on his first professional contract with the club, which is great news. This will be a 3-year deal. They said it's a long-term deal, but he's 17, so he can't sign for any longer than 3 years. That is a rule, so it doesn't matter. Even if they say it's a 6-year deal, it's not. It will be a 3-year deal at best, but that is great news that they got it done. He did speak today about how difficult it is now with agents and everything else to get these kind of deals done for highly rated talent. But look, it's great that they've got this done. I'd like to see him get opportunities. And this is, again, damning on the recruitment. Harry Gray, for me, will be no worse. In fact, he would be better than Metcha. Okay, so, when he's ready and when there's, when the time is right, I would love to see Harry Gray get involved in the first team because look, we're not scoring. Our strikers aren't scoring goals. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's got 1, Metcha's got 1. So what would be the harm? What is there to lose with that? On the topic of Stach, and now this was a great question from a journalist, and I don't know who it was, but brilliant question about Anton Stach, who we've said has been inconsistent and been out of form. So why does he keep getting starts? Well, this was a real puzzling one for me because Daniel Farke did say that, yes, his performances haven't been of the level of that he's been given earlier this season, but he's been struggling with some kind of finger issue. Let me just get the actual diagnosis here. Okay, here it is. With a broken finger and damage to his ribs. So, I mean, it's been pretty evident as well with Anton that he's not playing the way that he played. Like, let's just take the Everton game where he was outstanding. He was so good. He's been nowhere near that level. Wolves as well. He's been nowhere near that level recently. Absolutely nowhere near it. Now, if he's playing with ailments that are, collectively making him perform like this, why is Tanaka not coming in? See, this is where I go. This is where I do go to Daniel Farke and go, right, I know you don't have world-class midfielders to choose from, but you do have Tanaka to choose from when Stach is clearly hurt. And Daniel Farke has subbed him off in times where he doesn't usually sub off players. In one game, he subbed him off just after 65 minutes. He doesn't do that. So if you're going to do that, why not just start Tanaka? And that's the thing with me with Daniel Farke. That's the things those are the things that have driven me crazy over the last couple of years with this guy. No matter what, even when Jorginho had his hernia surgery, Georgie was nowhere near the level he was before, and you could clearly see it on the pitch. He couldn't do the movements that he was doing before his surgery, but he still continued to beast him out. And I don't know why he's making Stach play like this. Now, if Stach is still in this kind of vein where he's basically playing hurt and Tanaka is on the bench, that's a change that you should be seeing on Friday night. We should have seen it against Burnley, but we should be seeing it in this game. So, yeah, listen, I knew there was a reason why Stach wasn't playing to level, because we know he's better than he's shown, but if give him the time to recover. He said he's had the time to recover this week with a full week off, but if he's got any kind of rib damage, your ribs, breathing, everything, it just affects everything, doesn't it? Never mind a broken finger when you add to it. So yeah, just something in terms of that, where those are the things where it just makes you go, God, you know, he's injured, put him on the bench. And if Tanaka's not playing well and you really need him, then use him in case of emergency, like you've done with Dan James prior, or even Okafor about a month ago, when Okafor was clearly not fit and was never going to see the pitch, but you put him on the bench anyway. Yeah, it's just things like that. But look, guys, this is a huge, huge game. And even though Daniel Farke says there's no more pressure on this, I do believe there is. I think if we are to lose this game, it might be game over for him. It might be. I don't think the 49ers will sack him, but I don't know how big that pressure will be with the crowd if we lose this game against West Ham. Now, Daniel Farke said it would have been great if West Ham had won the game, because then, you know, they wouldn't be turning over every stone. But that applies to us as well. We also lost our game against Burnley, so we should be turning over every stone to get improvements for the next game. So us and West Ham are in the exact same boat for this game. We're both coming in with bad defeats to relegation rivals. This is a game where they'll probably, you know, relish playing away from the London Stadium as well. We've got to do something and use that home crowd to our advantage. We've got to. But listen, people, those are the highlights from the presser. Like I say, like the video before you go. The preview live tomorrow. Please join me for that. I want to see people's thoughts on the team and score predictions for tomorrow as well. But guys, like the video before you go. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.